bail was denied, and then people are actually wishing for him to get the max sentence. And so I want to deep dive into that. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get it, y'all.
Aaron, we know that sentencing hearing scheduled for the fall. Sean Diddy Combs has already been in custody for about 9 months now, and he's also facing dozens of civil lawsuits. What more does he have ahead of him before that hearing? We know, I think it's on October 3rd.
October 3rd at 10 a.m. is when Sean Combs is going to be sentenced for his conviction on 2 counts of transportation for the purposes of prostitution. Each of those counts carries a maximum penalty of up to 10 years. And so prosecutors pointed out in their letter to the judge, his total exposure is 20 years in prison. And the judge today, Whit, said that Combs's propensity for violence was starkly depicted on that 2016 hotel security camera footage that may well factor into the judge's sentencing decisions. In the meantime, Sean Combs will continue to be incarcerated at MDC in Brooklyn, the federal jail in Brooklyn, where he's been since his arrest. This is at least the 3rd, possibly even the 4th time that bail has been denied.
So for me, I'm a little bit concerned about this. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. And the reason that I'm concerned about his sentencing, which doesn't happen until October, so we got some time. And here's another thing that I'm trying to figure out. We got to reform our laws. We have to reform what people are charged with. We have to reform how judges move inside of the United States of America. Because first thing is, why is your sentencing all the way in October? You know what I'm saying? Like, we are in July, August, September, October. So we got to wait 3 months before you get sentenced. So that's the first thing. What up, Molly? So I don't understand why we have to wait 3 months before you get sentenced. That's number one. Number two, obviously, I am super concerned, not just with Diddy, but with the justice system at large, because they are using blanket charges to trump up charges, and they've been doing it for decades against people in order to get them to plead. And that's why the feds have such a high conviction rate, because it's easy for them to try to make it seem like, oh man, I'm going to use these that was created in order for them to go after child traffickers, but we going to use this because you was a freaky person and you had a domestic violence situation and you rich. So I honestly, I think that the biggest thing that we should concern ourselves with, maybe not the biggest, but one of the things that we need to really advocate for as men, as people, is reform when it comes to sentencing guidelines. I think that a lot of this stuff is off, but I'm also very concerned about Diddy. And the reason that I'm very concerned about Diddy is, even though he was not convicted at the of the most heinous charge that they tried to get him on, which was racketeering and sex trafficking. The fact that this judge denied him bail is crazy to me. So you already basically beat the case and you can't go home. And so they're still holding you down and still preventing you from being able to get to the crib because you're saying that, oh man, I heard all of this stuff. I heard this. That scares me, right? Not literally, be figuratively for Puff. It scares me because the recommendations and what all of the people are saying is that he should get either time served or 18 months or something like that, right? But the fact that the judge is denying his bail and thinks that Puff would do something to put himself in a compromised position, even after he beat these charges, concerns me, especially in New York, because New York is an incredibly liberal place that often at times overdo things and overcorrect for the things that they think that somebody should have been convicted for. Look no further than Letitia James and all of these people, right? All of these people that are holding these positions in this liberal city, in this liberal state. And so when I see that, it kind of gives me a pause, because even though people are saying that it's a possibility for him to get, or the recommendation is for him to get, 18 months or time served, because he's already been in jail for over a year because they've been denying him bail, he could get up to 20 years even for the prostitution charge. he could get over 20 years or up to 20 years, sentences running concurrent versus what it is that they're recommending. And the prosecutors is pushing for maximum time. And it's still crazy that you can sentence somebody in a guideline from time served for a year all the way up to 20 years. 20 years? 20 years? I think that that's crazy. I think that that is absolutely diabolical. Andrew Cuomo on News Nation had Bill O'Reilly, Stephen A. Smith, and he also had a liberal consultant on, and they were talking specifically about what the possible prison time, the charges. They called Diddy evil. I'm gonna present it to you guys right now, and then you guys tell me. And this is kind of the sentiment and some of the things that I would be concerned about.
What do you make of my assessment that this jury was rejecting not just the facts in the case, but the prosecution's overreach?
Well, that's a plausible argument. I'm not going to deny that. It clearly appears that the prosecution did overreach. You had lawyers all over the place swearing that's exactly what happened with the Southern District of New York, and there's no way around it. I mean, we heard some very disgusting things throughout the trial, things that I don't think, from an image perspective, Sean Diddy Combs can recover from. But let me tell you something. He doesn't give a damn about that today. Nope. What he cares about is that he knows that the worst case scenario doesn't involve him spending the rest of his life in prison, because sex trafficking and RICO charges were charges he was acquitted of. And so as a result of all that we heard, I just saw Ray J saying what he said. And the one point that I'd like to peel from that is that you do find yourself looking at the court system, and in this particular instance, the Southern District of New York, and you find yourself saying to them, you tried to convict him in the court of public opinion, because you certainly succeeded in that. All of us look at him with far more than a raised eye.
Oh, wait. Listen, I know I'm not the biggest YouTuber in the world. But I'm telling you, man, I swear to God, people be stealing my shit. And maybe I see NBA players doing podcasts about relationships, and they literally take my talking points. I'll be seeing people saying a quarter point. I don't see, bro, I don't see nobody say that stuff before me. And again, I know it's gonna be people that's like, yo, no, people said that before you and stuff. Bruh. People be taking my talking points, man. Seriously. I said, no, word up. Hey, done. I seen somebody say underwater basket weaving degree. I was like, JD says Coach Greg said it first. Listen, bro. I don't know if y'all need to check my record, but I've been on this bitch for over 11 years. Maybe you just discovered me, and that ain't no shot at Coach Greg, because I think that Coach Greg is dope. And I've been doing content for over 11 years. I am an OG in this bitch. Like, this ain't new to me. I didn't just pop up and just start getting popular. I've been on the internet for over 11 years. I've been saying some of the same stuff for over 11 years. What are you talking about, bro? I know the video audio is low. It's nothing I can do about that. That's News Nation's problem. I seen somebody say underwater basket weaving degree the other day. I was like, we all get inspired by each other. Let's be clear. But man, anyways, let's get back to it.
Eyebrow. But that wasn't the district attorney's office job. Your job was to get him convicted in a court of law. And you didn't pull it off because your case wasn't strong enough in the eyes of 12 jurors who said there's no way on earth they should send this man to prison for the rest of his natural life, because you didn't prove a case of sex trafficking or racketeering.
Right. And, you know, it'd be one thing if it was even the district attorney. This was the attorney general. This was the federal courts. And for them to do it this way was a big swing and a miss. I mean, you know, he's a guy who did bad things and everybody knows it, but it doesn't mean that they met this burden. All right, so let's talk about perception and reality on another very big front of our budgeting process. James Carville, there is a notion that Bill O'Reilly will certainly defend.
James Carville is notorious for predicting the wrong outcome for the 2024 election, by the way, guys. Just want to make sure that we're all here
tonight that you got to pass this bill or we will go into a recession. What do you make of that?
Well, you pass it, we'll probably go into a recession. If you don't pass it, we'll probably go into a recession. I'm not totally sure it's related, but I think Bill is correct. I mean, the Republicans are
way back. I never liked him. I don't like the culture or anything like that. But Sean Combs, Republicans win the midterms so he can have 3.5 more years to do what he wants. It's simple as that. I just want to say one thing about the Sean Combs situation.
Oh, sure.
I interviewed him way back. I never liked him. I don't like the culture or anything like that. But he's going to get the maximum. The judge will give him the maximum, just like they gave O.J. Simpson the maximum in Vegas, because he got off Simpson in L.A. when he clearly killed these two people. And then when he got a second crack at him on a minor beef, relatively, of theft, they sentenced him to heavy time. So Diddy will go to prison, and he should. He's evil. And I say that because I just wrote a book called Confronting Evil.
Yeah,
he used narcotics and violence to coerce people to do what he wanted to do. That's evil. Sorry.
Go ahead, Stephen.
Now, back to Trump.
Well, hold on. Stephen wants to weigh in on what you just said. Go ahead.
No.
Okay.
Only thing I want to weigh in, I don't want to castigate the entire culture. I'm tired of, we see pictures of a few bad apples conducting themselves in very disgusting manners and thinking that that's the entire industry. I'm a guy that was raised in the hip hop industry. I know an abundance of hip hop artists and beyond who have never engaged in, never been accused of, never would think of putting themselves in the kind of positions some have obviously done. So I just want to make sure that we're not castigating everybody. I know you don't like the culture. I don't expect you to like the culture, Bill O'Reilly. You're considerably older than some of us. You look good. You're healthy, thank God. But you're from a different generation. I understand that. But for people like me who grew up in the hip hop culture, I know a whole bunch of people that would never get themselves tangled up in such a web. A whole bunch.
It's not about personal behavior for the hip-hop industry. It's about the message. And I'm old enough to now school you, Stephen A. If Motown still exists, and that's where I grew up, okay, the Black African-American culture would be a much, let's say, gentler. This hip-hop garbage on impressionable children who don't have supervision in the home teaches them to be crude. Motown did not do that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you step back and look at history, the industry of R&B was a tremendous positive for this country. The hip hop industry has been a tremendous negative for this country.
Well, listen, I gotta say one thing, and then I want to move off this. We can do it another time. My kids,
we can do it another time.
As with Stephen A.
Bill O'Reilly said a mouthful. I didn't know that this was what he was going to say. I seen the headlines of him saying that Diddy was going to get the max. I don't think that he knows that. I think that that's what he's hoping for. I believe that he's hoping for it. Now, I think that Bill O'Reilly said one thing that I think is justified, and I think that he said another thing that's not so justified. The thing that he said that's justified is that the culture is trash. I can't say that he's wrong about that. This is great topics for after hours. Let me write it down. He's right. In my personal opinion, I think that the culture is trash. I can't disagree with him. The part that I do disagree with Bill O'Reilly is that Diddy should get the maximum sentence because, again, this is where I think that is very difficult for conservatives and Democrats that are liberal alike. They cannot separate how they feel about the culture from whether or not the person should or shouldn't justifiably, because he was tried in a court of law. He was judged by a jury of his peers. They said that he does not deserve some of the charges that he was trumped up against him. And I don't believe that it is a crime to be freaky. Domestic violence, cool. Toxic relationship, awesome. Abuse, I'll give you that. But we have to be a country of rules and laws, and it is innocent until proven guilty. And he doesn't like Diddy. He led with it. He said that I interviewed him. I don't like him. Cool. I don't have no problem with him liking it. I don't even have any problem with him saying that the culture is trash. And a lot of the things that we're dealing with today is as a result of the culture. I'm with it. You can't just say that the dude should be going to jail for 20 years because you don't necessarily care for the culture. Rockstars, for example, has done some of the worst things known to man. Drug culture. I will tell you that rock stars, there are some rock stars that are still touring today that probably will make Diddy look like a choir boy. There are some rock stars. Can we attribute, I'll give you an example. Can we attribute men dressing like women and the foundation of it that came from rock and roll? Because I remember the song, Dude Looks Like a Lady. Rock stars was the ones that was really wearing the eyeliner. And they was the ones that was dressing like women. And they was embracing their femininity. But nobody ever says that. Nobody ever attributes some of the toxicity that comes along with what it is that we see today to rock stars. Why? Because they are no longer as popular, and it is not the popular culture that is celebrated as much today. But I don't think that Bill O'Reilly would have this type of energy for any of those type of people. He don't like Diddy. He don't like the black culture and what it's become. Cool, I give you that. But you have to be able to separate how you feel about a culture from whether or not a person is supposed to go to jail for the rest of their life. And that's where I disagree. And this is one of the reasons why I think it is very important. And when y'all go out here, and let me say this too, before we go over to the next thing. When y'all go outside, right? A lot of y'all will sit there and tell me, Anton, it doesn't matter if you vote. Do you know that you are the person that determines some of the judges, some of the legislators, the city council people, the person that then determines whether or not, certain sentences is levied? Y'all got to do some background work. Y'all will sit here and deep dive into Kamala Harris. You'll sit here and deep dive into Trump. You'll go into all of these different people. You know every stat about every single celebrity, but at the same time, you don't know nothing about the person that you're voting for judge. You just vote straight down ballot, all Democrat, all Republican. You don't know nothing about the millages. You don't know nothing about the judges. You don't know nothing about the sheriff that you're about to vote in. You don't know none of that. That judge is going to be the person that determines the culture of what happens as far as when things go wrong inside of your community. And they think a lot of times like Bill O'Reilly, because even though we don't believe in running in the victim Olympics, they can't separate how they feel politically from the person that they're sentencing. And you have to be able to be objective. And this is why you see a lot of these judges challenging a lot of the executive orders that Trump issued. They are Obama appointed judges. They are Biden appointed judges. And that's why the Supreme Court, we spend so much money going up the ladder to the Supreme Court, challenging, appealing. We spend so many tax dollars doing all of this. Why? Because you guys are not participating in the political process and you think that nothing matters. It matters because they have the same mentality as the Bill O'Reilly. So you can agree with him politically, but it doesn't mean that I stand with you as far as the objective that you're supposed to have when we're upholding the rule of law. He beat the case. There's no way in the world that you're supposed to tell me that he's supposed to spend the rest of his life in prison. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. I've been disagreeing with conservatives and Republicans all week long the Megyn Kellys, the Bill O'Reillys, because we may align politically, but I don't agree with their sentiment when it comes to this. And you can see their bias showing. You can see their hatred showing. You can see their disdain for the culture showing.